What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about the truth of coaching politics. This is episode number 12 of our First Down Training show, and we're going to be going over my story, the things that I had to deal with coaching politics in my high school career, and how I was able to overcome those things. Then we're going to be getting into some current events. We're going to be talking about the potential landing spots for Cooper Kupp, where he might get traded, talk about Jimmy Johnson, all-time great coach retiring from Fox, and who I feel should replace him. And then we're going to be answering 3 questions that you guys have at the end of this video from previous episodes, doing a Q&A, because we really appreciate your support and tuning in. So let's get started, you guys. So coaching politics, daddy ball if you call it, is one of these hot topics that I get asked about literally probably every single day. Coach, I'm a player. How do I deal with it? My son's dealing with, the other quarterback or the receiver he's competing with. His dad's on the coaching staff and they're playing him over my son. My son is better. What do I do? So honestly, guys, I could share with you the story from my high school playing career like the back of my hand. That's how vividly I remember it, because it's tough. I know exactly what all of you are going through when it comes to coaching politics and that daddy ball. So I'm going to share my story here and just really try to give you as much value as possible with that story so you guys can understand that you're not alone. People have gone through this, and it's going to actually be all right, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. So when I was going into my junior year of high school, so my sophomore year had ended, right, at high school. I went to a school called Los Alamitos High School in Southern California. And sophomore year had ended, and our coach, who had been there for a long time, we had an average season at best. I think we were like 5-6, lost first round in the playoffs, like really bad season for the caliber of school that we were at. And our coach, his name was John Barnes. He had been there for probably seemed like 80 years. Dude was old, man. But again, he'd been there a long time. I think like 30, 40 years, I think. And he retired. So we did not have a head coach leading into like winter workouts. And the team was kind of like, it was just up in the air. Like, what's going to happen? Who's going to play? Whatever. So we had a coaching job search go on. Now, with the coaching job search, it really came down to 3 candidates, right? So there was a coach who was a former coach at St. John Bosco High School. You guys all probably know that high school. Number 2 ranked high school every single year in the country. They had just won the national championships, CIF championships, so they're coming off high, right? And their offensive coordinator, his name is Chad Johnson, was in the final 3 for the job. Chad Johnson is now currently the head coach at Mission Viejo High School in Southern California. Chad Johnson is an insane offensive mind, great quarterback coach. I had a chance to actually play under him in 7-on-7 one time, and absolutely great dude. So he was in the running, right? The other coach, his name was Brian Barnes. He was the son of the head coach that we just had, John Barnes, and he had won a CIF championship or a championship with Tesoro High School in previous years. And he also helped coach the offensive line at Los Alamitos High School. So the son of the guy that had just left, Los Al legend. And then there was another coach. I'm not going to name his name because he is currently the coach there. Maybe that gives it away. And he had just been coaching at Fountain Valley High School. Didn't really have a successful season. They beat us the year before. They were in our league, and they were around, like, I want to say, like maybe an average team at best, like 5-5, 5-6, something like that. So it came down to those 3 candidates, right? Now, obviously, you'd probably be thinking it would be between Chad Johnson or Brian Barnes, the son of the legend, or it would be the offensive coordinator for one of the best teams in the country, or the best team in the country that year. Like, we would love to have either one of those guys. Option number 3 got it, the guy from Fountain Valley High School. Why is that? That's a little weird. Well, what I found out later on is that he actually turned out to be good friends that went way back with our athletic director at our high school. Now, I was a quarterback, and the situation that I was in, a senior had just graduated, so it was going to be between me and the athletic director's son to compete it out for the quarterback job. Now, I had went to middle school with that guy's son, and his son was never really that great. He was more of an athlete, more of like a receiver DB. He actually played receiver the year before on the varsity team, so it wasn't like he was this like stout quarterback, right? So anyways, he played basketball. So as soon as the new coaching staff came in, they kind of took over our off-season workouts. We're going on the field. I'm meeting with the offensive coordinator, who is not the head coach. It's a separate guy. And, I'm the starter. I'm getting reps with the first team, working with the first team receivers. I'm working really hard, never missed a day, showed up to every practice. And as soon as basketball season ended, my first team reps vanished. It wasn't even a competition. It wasn't even like, hey, I get 5, he gets 5, or even he's older than me by a year. So it wasn't like, he gets seniority privileges where he gets 6 reps and then maybe I get 4 or something like that. It was just my one team reps vanished, gone, done with. And I was just confused, and the whole team was honestly pretty confused. It was extremely frustrating, and I was extremely pissed. And I was never a guy, my parents never raised me this way. I never grew up in a household where we made excuses, where we were like, oh, they're just playing him because of politics. But I was honestly genuinely confused. I was just like, what happened? Did like all the work that I just put in, did that just go out the window? What's the deal here, right? And nobody could figure it out. There were other players on the team that were like, what's going on? Parents, what's going on? And then we go into spring ball, and I'm just a 2. I'm getting reps with the second team. So what happens after this is a little bit interesting. And so my dad, bless his heart, he is not a confrontational dude. He is probably a little bit opposite of me in that respect. I'm a little bit more confrontational in that sense. But he was at a like a restaurant bar type deal with his friends, who were a bunch of like Long Beach police officers. That's where I grew up in Long Beach. So they were all hanging out at this bar, and the athletic director was there. The athletic director had a few too many, and he was bragging, and my dad overheard this because they were very close together, bragging that he only got the job, the coach that they hired, because he agreed to play his son. So, and then he started talking a little bit of trash about how I was undersized, how, yada, yada, etc. And my dad was like pissed, but he wasn't going to tell me. And against his better judgment, he told me. And I was pretty upset, as you can imagine, because now I'm in this situation. It's too late to transfer. I'm sitting there thinking, man, like, I'm screwed. This is my junior year. This is a big year for me to get film, to be able to go to college, because I had aspirations of playing college football. And I was like, now this deck is completely stacked against me. No matter what I do, I am not going to be able to play. So I sat there for a while, and I was like, man, I'm done. I'm done with football. I quit. I can't do this anymore. I wanted to go be like an MMA fighter. That was like what was in my head, because I was a huge Conor McGregor fan at the time. But anyways, I was done. I was done with football. I was like, man, this sucks. Like, what am I going to even do? It's spring ball. I don't want to be there. I hate my head coach. I hate my offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator, I'll tie it. It wasn't his fault, but at the time I hated him, but we'll talk about that in a second. Hated everybody. Didn't want to come back. Didn't want to play. Every day at practice, I was pissed. And, I had to really look myself in the mirror and figure out, hey, Grant, what do you want? Like, what example is this going to set if you just quit right now? And luckily, my parents talked me off the ledge. A lot of it was financially incentive, like, hey, we spent all this money on training, you better freaking play football. And then a lot of it was like, no, Grant, you're not a quitter. That's not what we raised. We didn't raise somebody to quit on things. We raised somebody who's going to battle adversity and face adversity head on. And this is the biggest type of adversity that you could face as a player, right? And so I stuck it out. And I was like, I'm going to be ready. And I'm one play away. I'm not going to play. And there were literal booster meetings, you guys. Like, Booster Club is like all the parents that have a little bit of money that donate to the program. They have a meeting every week. There were weekly meetings where parents would berate our head coach. Why isn't Grant playing? Why isn't he playing? Yelling at him. Parents from the stands yelling stuff on the field, because the quarterback that they had in front, he just wasn't playing very good, you guys. He was a non-factor. Luckily, we had a great running back. Luckily, we had a great team, so we were able to win some games, but it was a non-factor in the offense. And so people were screaming at him, play me, give him a chance, give him a chance, give him a chance, right? That chance never happened. And, it was upsetting. It was very, very discouraging. And I knew it was a stacked deck. I knew things were against me, and I knew that I was never going to play over that kid, or at least be able to earn it. And I remember that offseason, I was probably the most antisocial person I've ever been in my life. I buckled down. Everything about my life was to prove to everybody that they screwed up, and that they should have given me a decision. I wanted to make my head coach look bad. I wanted to make the athletic director look bad. I wanted to make the quarterback they had ahead of me look bad. And I wanted to prove everybody who supported me right, that, yeah, you weren't wrong to support me. And dude, I worked and I worked and I worked. And there were days where, and that's before I discovered caffeine too, so you can imagine how tired I was. But every single waking moment was for that upcoming senior season. Because one, I had to perform, or else I wasn't going to be able to go to college with 1 year of film. Luckily, I lived in Southern California, which is a huge football market, and I was actually able to obtain a scholarship offer, but we'll talk about that in a second. But every little thing I did was geared towards just proving everybody wrong, essentially, and proving everybody that I should have been the guy. I was obsessed. I didn't go out with friends, didn't have a girlfriend, didn't have a social life. All I did was work. 3 workouts a day. Was that probably good for me? Maybe not. But I was like, I don't care. If there's a moment where I can work out, I'm going to do it. If there's a moment where I can watch film, I'm going to do it. There's a moment I can go out and throw, I'm going to do it. And I made sure that I chipped away every single day, because that's what you have to do, especially being an undersized player. You're only going to get 1 year of varsity time. And that's how you battle adversity, you guys. That's how I battle adversity in my daily life. You know, if something comes against me, I don't cower away and I don't quit on it. I push through it and I push forward. And that's a valuable life lesson that I learned through that, and I wouldn't change a single thing because I would not be in the position that I'm in talking to you right now without that, right? So now, it kind of came full circle. That season went well. It went very good. I was MVP of the league. Well, actually, offensive player, should have been MVP anyways. We won the league. We went 5-0 in league, went to playoffs, had a great season, great varsity film, great everything. I was able to achieve probably like 4 or 5 different scholarship offers, small schools, but at the end of the day, I knew I probably wasn't going to be a D1 guy. I just wanted to get my school paid for, and I was blessed enough to be able to get it paid for. And it all came through the work, man. It all came through pushing through that adversity and not running from it. Because I know a lot of you are in this situation where you feel like, man, I don't have any options. Man, the only option is for me to transfer, go to another school, run away from this adversity that I've been faced with. Don't run. Put 10 toes down, face it, because adversity has a funny way of finding you. You run away from it, you're going to run into adversity in another situation. It's just going to happen that way, you guys. It's a funny way of how the world works. I think it's faith related. I have a huge faith in God, especially from that situation, because it's all you really have. And I'm telling you right now, don't run away from that adversity. Face it head on, attack the adversity head on, and I promise you, you're going to come out a better person. It may not work out exactly the way you had it planned, but it will still work out and you will still end up in the right spot if you face that adversity. Now, some of you might think, well, that sounds, made up. Like, maybe you weren't just that good. Full circle moment. After I got done playing, after I went to college, I started doing these coaching clinics with this local flag league. This is how I kind of got into training. I was already training, first down training was already a thing, and you'll never guess who I was running the coaching clinics with. My offensive coordinator and my offensive line coach from high school, which is weird. It was weird. Those are guys that coached me, and now I'm coaching with them. I'm working with the quarterbacks, my OC's working with the receivers, my O-line guys working with the linemen. And one day we were talking, just got on the topic. I never brought this stuff up. I was like, why bring it up? You know what I mean? I'm not going to rub it in their face. Revenge is for God, whatever. They came up to me separate times. It wasn't like we were all talking. Coach Puga was my offensive coordinator. That's his name, Willie. Willie comes up to me and says, man, I just want to really apologize for what we did to you your junior year. That's his words. He said, we didn't even give you a chance to compete. It was just as soon as Ray was the head guy's name. As soon as Ray came in, it was just like it was Hayden's job. Hayden was the other quarterback. And he was like, as soon as Ray came in, it was just Hayden's job. I wanted to see you guys compete and duke it out and try to earn it, but it was Ray's show, so I just wanted to apologize. Offensive line coach, separate occasion, comes up to me. He apologizes for the same thing. He says, hey, man, I'm sorry for what we did to you your junior year. You were better than Hayden. Everybody on the staff knew it, but Ray just made sure that Hayden played. And again, 2 separate occasions. So it was kind of a full circle moment for me. And did that give me closure on it? No. I was pissed off when I heard it because I was like, wow, thanks for sticking up for me at the time, but that's not the right way to go about it. But again, things worked out. It worked out just fine. But I'm telling you this right now, you guys, the whole reason I tell my story with that is that you can push through it. You're going to be faced with adversity. You're going to have politics. It's going to chase you for the rest of your life in anything. Things aren't fair. Life isn't fair. But are you going to sit and cower and complain? Because I know a lot of complainers. I know a lot of people that have had bad breaks thrown their way. I've dated people who have been like this. I have had friends who have been like this, and I always want to get them out of my life because I don't want to be around people like that. They've been handed bad breaks, and worse breaks than what I've been handed. But all they do is sit there and complain and sulk about it, and they feel the whole world is against them. That's life. That's everybody. That happens to literally everybody in some facet or another. And if you just sit there and you complain, and you're just like, oh, woe is me, and you don't do anything to fix the problem. You don't do anything to battle the adversity. You don't try to come back from the bad breaks that have been against you, whether it's self-imposed or somebody imposed those against you, then you're wasting your time. So I say this to you because I don't want you to cower away from the adversity. I want you to face your adversity head on. And that's all I have to say about that, and I hope that was able to help you. Now, guys, we're going to get into some current events next, but before we get into some current events, if you are a football player and you need help gaining weight and putting on muscle mass this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below for our AG Labs Whey Protein Powder. This is a supplement company that I started with my brother. We designed this company to make a line of supplements specifically for athletes to help them with weight gain. This is our salted caramel frappuccino protein powder, but we also have cookies and cream, chocolate peanut butter brownie, and cinnamon snickerdoodle. So if you guys would like one of those flavors, go to that very first link in the description below. If you use the promo code FIRST25, FIRST25 at checkout. We can get you 25% off your protein order. But again, guys, very first link in that description below. So let's go to current events. So Cooper Kupp, trade rumors, places that he might go. I really don't think the Rams should let him go if they can keep him, but there are rumors that he is going to be leaving the Rams, and the potential landing spots are the Cowboys, Texans, Broncos, and the Steelers. Gosh, that's a tough one, but you know what? I would really like to see him in probably Texas of some sorts, so Dallas or with Houston. Honestly, I think if he goes to Houston, insane, like crazy. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. Who wouldn't watch that? That's the greatest, that's probably the best offense in the NFL right there, or at least passing offense in the NFL right there. And then in Dallas, you put him with CeeDee Lamb. Like, that's a hell of a duo because you can't double cover both of them. So I would love to see him in one of those Texas spots. Cooper Kupp does not get enough credit. Like, I'm telling you, like, he had that one really great year where I think he almost won the Triple Crown, or he did, and everybody's all on Cooper Kupp. And then I feel like he's got kind of forgotten because he's been battling some injuries. Like, the dude, when he's healthy, he is that guy. Top 3 in the NFL, in my opinion. So I'm excited to see where he lands, but I'd love to see him in Texas. Either spot, Houston or Dallas, I think that would be great. Now, Jimmy Johnson, legendary coach, retiring from Fox. Everybody probably watches that like pregame show that Fox has before NFL on Sundays. I normally don't get to watch it as much anymore because we conduct a lot of our trainings on Sundays, so I'm kind of out of that game. But you know who I would love to see replace him, who's been kind of making a comeback lately? Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden, one of the best football minds out there, and I'm telling you guys, I cannot stop watching him. Like, any clip that I see of Jon Gruden, like whether he's talking football or not, that's usually all he talks about is football because the guy loves football. But I can't stop watching him. He's one of the most entertaining humans on earth and probably one of the best football minds in the game. So I would love to see Jon Gruden on Fox chopping it up, like especially if Tom Brady's on there, Michael Strahan, like who wouldn't want to see that? So I would love to see Jon Gruden replace him. Hopefully he does. I think that would ultimately be great. Now we're going to get into some of your guys' questions. So fellas, at the end of every single episode, we will do a Q&A. So pretty much we read questions that you guys have left on past videos. So guys, if you have questions you want to get featured on our next episode of our show, go to the comment section below, post your comments or post your questions below there. I read every single one, and then we will feature them on the show, obviously. So seriously, guys, appreciate the support. We do this as a way to give back to you. So question number 1 is from ISSoul5531. He's essentially asking, how many times a week should you be performing speed drills? So I know for me, in high school, college, I was doing speed training 2 to 3 times a week. So I remember one day was dedicated towards like sprints and like running form, so like different exercises to improve my running mechanics, and then 2 days were dedicated towards resistance training, so running up hills, running with a sled, or running like stadium stairs. So I would say 2 to 3 times a week is a good gauge for you to ultimately improve your speed. You can add on some speed training to like your on-field workouts. Like let's say you're a wide receiver, like you're doing receiver drills, you could also add on some speed training drills to that as well if you feel like that's more time efficient. But I appreciate you asking that, man. Hope that was able to answer your question. Now, second question from Cut to the Chase TV. This isn't really a question, but he's talking about how 11-on-7 is pretty much getting out of hand, and how he saw an 11-year-old wearing a bathrobe at a 7-on-7 tournament. This is on a video I posted this past Saturday, or an episode I posted this past Saturday, and we were talking about how much I hate 7-on-7. And the 7-on-7 hate, you know, like I say that like half serious, but that's a part of 7-on-7 that's absolutely ridiculous to me. Like, wear what you want. Who am I to tell you what you can and can't wear? But what I will say is that you probably shouldn't be wearing a bathrobe, especially if you're 11 years old. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. So yeah, anytime you guys hear stories like that, feel free to share those in the comment section below, because it really does make my day hearing that. It's just ridiculous. I don't know how anybody lets him wear that. But Cut to the Chase TV, appreciate you watching the show, man. All right, now next question. Big Dude 8351 asks, like, where should you start as a new wide receiver? Should you start with like route running, releases? What should you do? What should you learn if you are brand freaking new? So what I would say, number 1, know the route tree. So understand routes and what they are. So like a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, 4, 5, all the way up till 9. You can just go to Google and type in route tree and just understand what the routes are. What are the routes they expect me to run? Then what I would focus on is my breaks on those routes. So like if you're running a curl, that's a different break than a post. On a post, you're cutting off of one foot and going. On a curl, you're dropping your hips and getting in and out of a break, right? So understand those breaks and work on those breaks. So top of the route. Then I would start adding in some press release work. So working on different moves versus press, how to manipulate your routes versus different coverage looks. That's what I would build to next. And then throughout all of that, I would obviously be focusing on your catching skills. The catching should be number one. And then I would also try to focus a lot on your speed. But speed and catching is what you need to work on, and that's the order of things and how I would progress to learning route running to becoming a better receiver. So hope that was able to answer your question, man. I appreciate you asking that. Seriously, I appreciate you tuning in to our episode. So guys, I want to thank you again for tuning in. Hope this was able to give you some value today, taught you a few things about battling adversity, but we will be back with another episode tomorrow. But seriously, appreciate you tuning in. If you guys got questions, post them in the comment section below. See you guys next time.